format will be that the Honorable Minister of Health is going to give a press statement. He will be followed by Honorable Kampiongo from Home Affairs, Honorable Mai from Local Government, and then contributions from other cabinet ministers as they would wish to comment or to contribute. After that, we shall go into clarifications, questions, and any other issues which might arise from the topics discussed. Without much ado, I'm Dr. Wilke, and I'll be conducting the sessions for today. Sir, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Stephen Kampiongo, welcome sir, and the Honorable Minister of Local Government, Honorable Vincent Mwale, the Honorable Minister of Community Services, Honorable Emerin Kabashi, and the Honorable Minister from the Office of the Vice President, Honorable Sylvia Chalikosa, and the Provincial Minister from Lusaka, Honorable Jafet Mwakalombe. I acknowledge the presence of the Permanent Secretaries from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Infrastructure Development, the DMNU, and I acknowledge the presence of the Commandant, Zambia National Service, Lieutenant General Martin Munenga, and the presence of the Inspector General of Police, the Inspector General of Police, yes, Kakoma Kanganja. Yeah, I almost mentioned the wrong. Yeah, so, and your team from the North Office. So I welcome you all to the Ministry of Health, and we're privileged today to be joined by the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs to issue a key policy pronouncement on an event that happened today. We'll begin as usual by talking about the overall picture. And as you are aware, Lusaka district has been experiencing a cholera outbreak since October 6th. And government, under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Edgar Chagorungu, mounted a robust multi-sectoral response. And the complexion of the team you see today resonates with the multi-sectoral approach that we have mounted. We have so far seen a total number of 3,077 cases countrywide, and in Lusaka, where the epicenter is, we have seen a total of 2,927. We have recorded a total number of deaths of 70 countrywide, and in Lusaka, the death toll is at 67. Now, these deaths could be broken down as facility deaths and as community deaths. If you look at the facility deaths, they are less than 1%, which is within the threshold that WHO stipulates. And if you look at the combined case fatality rate, it's at 2.2%. We also want to note that out of the 2,927 cumulative cases, we have successfully treated and discharged 2,860 cases. We have continued to report new cases from the epicenters, Kanyama being the hottest spot, and in the last 24 hours, again, the number of cases that we recorded was 87. The epidemic has clearly plateaued, and it plummeted from over 150, 160, getting down, and we've plateaued around 80. So 87, 85, 80. So we got 87 new cases, and that clearly shows that the epidemic is plateauing and also getting downwards. We note again that our people have been cooperative in all parts of Lusaka to the interventions that we've put in place, and the exception of an event that took place this afternoon will be addressed by want to emphasize that Kanyama, being the epicenter, has recorded more than 50% of all the cases that we have recorded in this outbreak. Furthermore, out of the deaths, again, Kanyama has recorded more than 50%. This should build a case of why we have imposed certain restrictions on Kanyama to ensure that we address the drivers of the epidemic. After the Minister of Home Affairs issues the statement, I want to lay ground for the Minister of Local Government to give us a program of operation under local government by saying that our health inspectors from the National Public Health Institute have submitted a full report of the inspections for all the markets, and the roadmap shall be discussed by the Minister of Local Government. And I just reiterate that we are in a hurry to normalize business, but will not compromise the provisions under the statutory instrument to ensure that public health is enhanced. One more death is bad enough, and we are going to ensure that we put in place measures that will assure solid waste management is good, human waste management is good, and access to clean and safe water in our places of residence and also in our trading places. That we shan't compromise on, and that's why we're working very closely with our colleagues from sector ministries to ensure that the lives of the people in Lusaka and beyond they are protected. We want to thank the local market leadership, the Vendors Association, and the market leadership, and the Zambia National Farmers Union for collaborating closely with the multi-sectoral team in ensuring that we respond as a team to this outbreak. Without their support and participation, we wouldn't be where we are today. I conclude by emphasizing that this epidemic is on its way out, and for those of you who think I'm being like Comic or Ali, watch the space in the next 7 to 10 days. With those remarks, I thank you so much. At this point in time, allow me to call upon the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs to issue a statement. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, and many thanks for that briefing. I acknowledge the presence of my fellow cabinet ministers who are with us here, the provincial minister, the permanent secretaries who are with us, commandant from ZNS, Jerome Renga, the Inspector General of Police, and all the senior officers that are present here. My comments will be basically on the riots that have been reported today, which occurred in Kanyama. But before I give the details of what transpired, I just want to state here that since the multi-sectoral team instituted the measures to curb the spread of cholera through Honorable Dr. Chilufya, Minister of Health, our people have been compliant. All the street vendors, the marketeers have been very helpful. And I must start also by commending our men and women in uniform from the defense forces for the work they've done so far, and also the people that have been helping them to carry out their cleaning exercises in Lusaka. And so it was very unfortunate today that despite people knowing that one of the measures was to ensure that all the trading places remain closed until further notice. But it would appear that some of our traders decided to defy this order, and therefore one of the markets which was established, a makeshift market along Los Angeles Road in Kanyama, near Petroda filling station, was being open at awkward hours when our officers were standing down in their operations. And so it was decided that this market is visited and closed. So this morning, a team of council workers working with Zambia Police Service swung into action to make sure that the makeshift stands that were established at this market were removed. So when these traders came wanting to do their business, they found the market closed. And so this agitated them and prompted them to start throwing stones at our officers who were on the ground. And these riots, this culminated into a riot which moved from Kanyama and spread into areas of Cholera, John Lane, and Mrs. Compound. We made sure that the police command had to reinforce the team that was on the ground. And so by about 13 hours, Zambia police were able to bring the situation under control. And unfortunately, during these riots, our police facility in Chivoria, which is a police post, had its window panes broken. A private vehicle parked at this police post was also damaged. Furthermore, a tipper truck, which was also parked at Lady Diana School, was set ablaze. One of our officers has been injured in the process, and 14 suspects have been apprehended and are in our police custody. Let me emphasize this point that we have laws that govern economic activities in the country of ours, anchored on ensuring public health and prevention of epidemics like the current cholera epidemic that we are fighting. And as you know, Zambia Police Service has got a mandate to preserve and prevent losses of life. So our mandate is just in line with the proclamations that have been made by the Minister of Health. And so we find it extremely unacceptable that a small clique of individuals, of citizens, can decide to break the law when so many citizens have really been cooperative and have been helpful to the situation. And my government, through the Zambia Police, shall not allow lawlessness to take root not only in Lusaka, but in the entire country. Accordingly, all the public health and security measures put in place to combat the current cholera epidemic shall remain in full force, and anyone found in breach of these laws and regulations shall be brought to book without fear or favor. Our people have been told to remain calm as government is trying to look into their situation. We know that we are touching on people's livelihoods, but these matters we are talking about are matters of life and death, and every responsible government must make sure that people's lives are protected at all times. We know that the law-abiding members of the public have continued to remain calm, and we shall make sure that no one goes to disturb their lives, because the areas we are dealing with, like Cholera, areas we know have got potential of harboring unscrupulous characters. And so our presence on the ground will be doubled. And the Inspector General of Police has been requested to ensure that we have enough manpower on the ground to deal with all those unscrupulous characters who want to take advantage of the situation to break the law. Before I conclude, I want to take this opportunity to caution the leader of the opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who has been reported to characterize the measures that government is putting in place to deal with the current situation as tension in the country. We find this statement irresponsible, and we are not going to tolerate that kind of behavior, because we all have got a responsibility, those of us in government and those in the opposition, to make sure that we deal with the situation. No one should politicize this matter and try to make political mileage out of a desperate situation like this. And this goes to the other members of the party, because we are aware that some of the officials of the party have released inflammatory video and audio postings which are meant to incite our people who have been very calm. No one is above the law, and like I've made it clear here. And so we expect everyone, including those in opposition, to follow the regulations that we have stipulated. Anything short of that will be treated as lawlessness. And so the UPND, who have come rather too late to try and be helpful to the situation, will not be allowed to bring down what efforts have already been put in place. And I think people of Zambia are much aware of what their government is doing. And our people must know that their government is quite concerned about their state of affairs. And it's only government that will find solutions to the situation they are in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Home Affairs. And now we ask the Honorable Minister of Local Government.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Shilufya, Minister of Health.
Let's take
Anytime you want to say my name. Not my name. I've been surrounded with people from some region. It's not easy to survive like this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me recognize the presence of cabinet ministers present here, our generals and the Inspector General of Police, people that have been very helpful to everything that we have done in trying to respond to the crisis that we have. Let me also recognize the presence of the permanent secretaries and the coordinator DMMU and our friends from the media. About 2 days ago, we did hint that we're going to give a roadmap on the reopening of the markets as we try to restore business back to normal. Ladies and gentlemen, beginning tomorrow, we will begin to announce the reopening of some markets. From tomorrow, we will name some markets that we think have met the standards that have been set by this multi-sectoral team that has been looking at what is happening in our markets. Now, I have a criteria that has been developed by the multi-sectoral team that all markets must be able to meet before they can open. And I'm glad to say that some of them have actually met this criteria, and from tomorrow we may be naming them. So we are saying that, one, markets must have healthy market committees. Two, there must be adequate clean water supply in each and every market that will operate as a market. And three, there must be adequate sanitation. And that means there must be toilets, a drainage system, raised stands for merchandise display, so we don't expect people to sell from the floor. And four, there must be proper solid waste management system. And by this, we must have primary bin waste receptacle at each stand or store. And two, there must be a central collection area very well secured. 5, valid medical certificates. 6, general cleanliness. And 7, free from liquor, which means that there must be no bars or taverns within the 100 meters radius. And 8, trading only must be done inside the market spaces. Inside the markets, it means that people must utilize the spaces available inside and not outside. So beginning tomorrow, the markets that we'll be naming are markets that have been assessed to ensure that they meet this criteria. We will do a progressive opening of these markets. We hope to be able to finish, I think, in the next 8 to 9 days. We expect that people will exercise some patience. If we name only 2 or 3 markets tomorrow, the rest of the markets must be able to wait until we name them, because we must ensure that these things have been put in place. We understand indeed that people have lost streams of income, but we want people to understand that we are doing this for the good of everyone that lives in Lusaka. Let me also address one issue that emerged this morning. I'm sure you all recall that we were talking to ZNFU about reopening a market space that was going to be a safe zone for trading of farm produce between farmers and wholesalers. We identified a place along Tokyo Road, and this place was being prepared for that kind of business. But before we knew it, this morning, some traders displaced from other markets besieged this market and took over. Now, this market doesn't meet the standards. There are no toilets. It has not been paved. The intention was to pave this market. There are no solid waste systems in place, and therefore this market is illegal because it doesn't meet the standards. So we don't expect to see traders trading from this market from tomorrow. And we are going to ask our men in uniform to help us enforce this. And as we announce the markets that will be reopened for trading tomorrow, we'll be able to announce the measures that we have put in place to ensure that these farmers that bring farm produce for wholesale to Lusaka will be able to do. We are going to announce a new place that we have identified that should take care of these farmers, because that place is not ready for trading. Again, I say that these market places that we have sell food that is consumed by all of us. We will make sure that we don't compromise on these standards, because doing so will put the lives of everyone that consumes food that passes through these markets at risk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
can now take 3 questions. Please kindly identify yourself and the institution you are representing. Then you can ask your question or clarification sought. We have 1, 2. Okay, please.
My name is Esna Lungong from One Love Radio. My question is, on Wednesday, there were records that were given to us for Lusaka where that received 83 cases, and then yesterday there were 85, and then today there are 87. I think we're seeing an appreciation. I don't know if the Minister of Health can help me. Maybe I'm wondering why we are seeing an increase with all these measures that have been put into place. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Krista from Millennium Hospital. My question goes to the local government minister, Honorable Vincent Mane, where you've mentioned it's a priority, where you've mentioned trading will only be done inside the markets. Is it safe to say that you've banned street vending for good?
Still asking?
Yes, third.
My name is Shangwe Elias. I write for the Shinua News Agency. My question goes to Honorable Campion.
Your name, sir?
Shangwe Elias from Shinua News Agency. You said 4 suspects have been picked. 14, yeah, 14. My question is, I don't know if there were any people who were injured during the process, and if any, how many?
Mr. Chilango, if you followed me during my statement, I did indicate that our police officer was injured in the process, and that's the only injury that we have recorded so far.
Thank you for that very good question. Let me say that those that operated in the streets operated in areas that never had good sanitary conditions, no water, and that led to the problem that we have now. We do not wish to go back to those days. We are looking for spaces inside market areas where those people can be allocated proper stands so they can continue with their trading. And as I begin to announce from tomorrow, I'll be able to say where, for example, those who traded along Nyaure will be taken to, and all those who occupied Lumumba Road will be taken to. Our wish is to take everyone into the markets, because markets are designated for trading and not the streets. That answers your question.
And our lady from One Love.
Yes.
Yeah. One Love radio station.
I've never heard about it.
It's my German.
One Love radio station. Am I misrepresenting?
No.
I'm actually Christian.
What is your radio station called?
One Love Radio. Actually, our registration in Pakra is actually Premier One Love Ministries, but we go by One Love Radio in the field like this. We are a ministry to spread the good news of Jesus Christ.
Fantastic. Amen.
One Love was popularized by Bob Marley. Yeah. When you are analyzing statistics in an epidemic, you look at trends. So you have to look at the trend analysis. And we can confidently say that we have seen the peaking, the dropping, the plateauing, and now we're getting down there. You'll be privileged tomorrow to see the graphical representation of these statistics. If 7 days ago you're reporting 164 cases, following day you report 114, 100, 90, getting to 85, 83. Now you may have fluctuation, 80, 85, 83, 87. You know, statistically, that will still show that you are showing a downward trend. So we can confidently tell you that the epidemic has plateaued around 80 and is showing a clear downward trend. I hope I didn't preach any academic lessons, Dr. Mlenga.
No, you didn't. Yes, sir. We can get the next three interventions. We've got one in the corner there. Well, I see only one. Please, go ahead.
My name is from Global Press.
Global Press.
My question goes to, I don't know whether the Home Affairs Minister or the police themselves could answer this, but the question is, ever since street vending was suspended, we've had reports of the scaling up of petty stealing around the communities around town. I don't know if the Home Affairs can confirm that you see reports going up, and what are they doing about it? Even motorists are complaining that their lives are
Like where? Any specific place?
Along Kibo Road and the surrounding communities. So maybe you could confirm to us that there's been a rise of petty stealing and what you're doing about it.
That's all? Okay, my dear lady from Global Press, first of all, we appreciate your concerns, but we haven't recorded, just like the doc was talking about, trends. There are also crime trends. We look at crime trends from the time these measures were put in place, and we don't have any specific indicators to show us that because of those measures the crimes have been triggered up. But what we want to say is that we are intensifying patrols. We have had reports about pet thieves along Kafue Road. It used to be quite bad in the past, but because we have put our men to patrol that area, we have had some arrests recorded and some people had to appear in the courts of law from that area. But like I said, the proximity of that area and Cholera is very near, as you know. So if you heard me saying our men are going to intensify our patrols and we are going to enhance the numbers on the ground to make sure that we don't record an upswing of criminal activities in those communities. And so we appreciate your concerns, and I can only assure you and the public that Inspector General Kanganja, who is here, and his men will leave no chance to such illegal activities. I also want to say this, that as PF government, we have been very clear on the issue of street vending and street trading. We did indicate from time to time that when designated places are found, we were going to relocate people. But here we are. We have got this situation, and we can't go back and we can't go forward and backwards. It's time to take appropriate measures arising from this situation which has happened. And so the Minister of Local Government has made it clear that we are going to make sure that our people only trade in places where we have got facilities that go with trading. And ours, as law enforcement ministry, is to ensure that everybody is put in designated places. So you shall see our presence even on the streets to ensure that order continues to prevail. Thank you very much.
If there are no further interventions, I would like to request the honourable ministers have got any specific intervention or clarification they would like to make before the Minister of Health concludes and closes the briefing.
Right. Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Minister, what I can say about the situation that we are facing today is that we are not going to be idle as a Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. We are going to look at the ways that we can use in looking at this situation and looking at the resources that we have for Kanyama, because we are scaling up social cash transfer in Osaka. So we would like to see how we are going to fast track the payment of social cash transfer to those that were identified, so that it can cushion those people whose lives have been degraded because of the outbreak of cholera. And also we'll look at the disabled people, you know, the problem that they are facing. We can go there and maybe help them in one way or the other, and also the aged. So I think that's what I can say about that. We'll be moving in very soon